Article 314.25e of the National Electrical Code, or NEC, does not explicitly prohibit the use of metal covers on plastic boxes. The requirement is that the cover and the yoke, which is the mounting strap for devices like switches and receptacles, should be of the same material. This primarily addresses the physical compatibility and secure mounting of devices. Article 341.41 of the NEC focuses on the grounding of metal boxes and fittings. It mandates that metal boxes and fittings be grounded. However, this requirement specifically applies to metal enclosures and does not extend to plastic boxes. Based on these interpretations, using metal covers on plastic boxes is permissible under the NEC, provided that the necessary grounding measures are implemented where required. The critical aspect when using a metal cover on a plastic box is to ensure proper grounding of the metal cover itself, especially if it could become energized or if it houses grounded equipment. To ensure grounding, firstly, install an equipment grounding conductor, or EG, between the metal cover and the equipment grounding bus in the panel board or service equipment. This establishes a direct path for fault current to return to the source, facilitating the operation of overcurrent protective devices like circuit breakers or fuses. The EGC should be sized according to NEC Table 250.122, based on the rating of the overcurrent protective device in the circuit. Secondly, use a bonding jumper, such as a green screw, to connect the metal cover to the grounding conductor of the electrical system. This bonding jumper ensures that the metal cover is electrically connected to the grounding system, providing a low impedance path for fault current. The bonding jumper should be sized appropriately based on the size of the circuit conductors, as specified in Article 250.102 of the NEC. It's crucial to ensure that all grounding and bonding connections are made securely and are properly tightened. Loose connections can impede the flow of fault current and compromise the effectiveness of the grounding system. All grounding and bonding connections must comply with Article 250 of the NEC, which outlines the requirements for grounding and bonding electrical systems. This includes proper sizing of grounding conductors, secure termination methods, and protection against corrosion. It is also important to ensure that the installation complies with any local amendments or interpretations of the NEC, as these can vary depending on the jurisdiction. Always consult with a qualified electrical inspector or engineer if there are any doubts or questions about the proper application of the code. To further clarify the requirements, consider the following points. The primary purpose of grounding is to provide a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source, thereby facilitating the operation of overcurrent protective devices. This helps to minimize the risk of electrical shock and fire. Bonding, on the other hand, is intended to equalize the voltage potential between conductive parts of the electrical system, reducing the likelihood of electrical shock. Both grounding and bonding are essential for ensuring electrical safety. When selecting grounding and bonding materials, it's important to choose those that are compatible with the other materials in the system. For example, using dissimilar metals can lead to corrosion, which can compromise the integrity of the grounding system. Copper and aluminum are commonly used for grounding and bonding conductors, but they must be properly installed to prevent corrosion. The NEC provides specific requirements for the installation of grounding and bonding conductors, including minimum sizes, termination methods, and protection against physical damage. These requirements must be followed carefully to ensure that the grounding system is effective and reliable. In addition to the general requirements for grounding and bonding, there are also specific requirements for certain types of equipment and installations. For example, Article 250.118 of the NEC specifies the acceptable methods for grounding equipment, while Article 250.146 addresses the grounding of receptacles. These specific requirements must be followed in addition to the general requirements for grounding and bonding. It's also important to consider the impact of changes to the electrical system on the grounding system. Any modifications or additions to the electrical system must be carefully evaluated to ensure that the grounding system remains effective. This may require upgrading the grounding system to accommodate the new load or equipment. Regular inspections and testing of the grounding system are essential for ensuring its continued effectiveness. Grounding systems can degrade over time due to corrosion, loose connections, or physical damage. Regular inspections can help to identify and correct these problems before they lead to electrical hazards. Testing of the grounding system can also verify that it is performing as intended. There are various methods for testing grounding systems, including impedance testing, continuity testing, and ground resistance testing. These tests can provide valuable information about the condition of the grounding system and its ability to protect against electrical shock and fire. It is important to use qualified personnel to perform these tests and to interpret the results correctly. In summary, while the NEC permits the use of metal covers on plastic boxes, it is crucial to implement appropriate grounding measures to ensure electrical safety. This includes installing an equipment grounding conductor between the metal cover and the equipment grounding bus, using a bonding jumper to connect the metal cover to the grounding conductor, and complying with all applicable requirements of Article 250 of the NEC. Regular inspections and testing of the grounding system are also essential for ensuring its continued effectiveness. Remember that electrical codes and regulations are subject to change, so it's important to stay up to date with the latest requirements. Consulting with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer can help to ensure that your electrical installations are safe and compliant. Consider also that local jurisdictions may have additional requirements or interpretations that supplement the NEC. Always check with the local authorities having jurisdiction (lodge) to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. These local requirements can sometimes be more stringent than the national codes, so it's important to be aware of them. Furthermore, continuing education and training are essential for staying informed about changes in electrical codes and best practices. The electrical industry is constantly evolving, so it's important to stay abreast of the latest developments. There are many resources available for continuing education and training, including online courses, workshops, and seminars. Consider the specific application and environment when selecting electrical boxes and covers. For example, in wet or damp locations, it's important to use boxes and covers that are rated for those environments. These boxes and covers are designed to protect electrical components from moisture and corrosion. Similarly, in hazardous locations, it's important to use boxes and covers that are approved for those locations. These boxes and covers are designed to prevent explosions or fires. Pay attention to the listing and labeling of electrical boxes and covers. Underwriters Laboratories, or UL, is a recognized testing laboratory that certifies electrical products. Look for the UL listing mark on electrical boxes and covers to ensure that they have been tested and meet safety standards. The listing mark indicates that the product has been evaluated for specific hazards and meets the requirements of the applicable standards. Also, be aware of the limitations of plastic boxes. While plastic boxes are suitable for many applications, they may not be appropriate for all situations. For example, plastic boxes may not be strong enough to support heavy fixtures or equipment. In these cases, metal boxes may be a better choice. Carefully consider the load requirements and the environmental conditions when selecting electrical boxes and covers. Grounding and bonding are critical aspects of electrical safety. It's important to understand the principles of grounding and bonding and to follow the requirements of the NEC. By implementing proper grounding and bonding techniques, you can help to protect yourself and others from electrical shock and fire. The information provided here is intended for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer before performing any electrical work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it's important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself from injury. Always to energize the circuit before working on any electrical equipment. Use appropriate personal protective equipment, or PPE, such as gloves and safety glasses. Follow safe work practices and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. In conclusion, metal covers can be used on plastic boxes if the equipment is grounded by installing an equipment grounding conductor between the metal cover and the equipment grounding bus in the panel board or service equipment, and by using a bonding jumper to connect the metal cover to the grounding conductor of the electrical system while fully respecting the requirements outlined in Article 250.102 of the NEC.